What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. So this morning me and Justin have taken a trip up to Northampton Motorsport in his Mk2 Escort. I won't talk too much about it now because we're going to learn a lot more about the car in this video, so it's just getting a few bits and bobs sorted out, ready for the rolling road, because it's going to be going on the dyno today and finding out what it makes.
We've waited about 2.5 months, have we, for this slot to come up? Yeah, it was like the earliest there, so you're busy boys.
Yeah, very busy. Yeah.
So they brought Justins Mk2 Escort into the workshop now, and it's just having the twin 45s balanced up. They've got a emissions tester or a smoke meter in the exhaust, and they've also got a really handy gizmo which is looking at all the balancing of the twin 45s, and they're just tweaking it up, trying to get it sort of running as best as they can before it goes in the dyno. But yeah, really interesting to see. Handy bit of kit. Justins Mk2 Escort has now just been parked back outside here at Northampton Motorsport. I just want to run through a little bit about the engine. So this is a Harris 2.1 litre Pinto engine. It's got their Larry exhaust manifold, but he still kept his original brake servo. Got twin 45s on the side, which you just saw the guys setting up, so they just balanced them. They were checking all different readings, slightly over my head, but very, very interesting to see that done. So yeah, this was put back on the road. When was it put back on the road? About 4 months ago. So Justin's just been sort of dialing it in, really, haven't you? Bedding in the cam and just putting some miles on it before we've brought it up to the rolling road today. And I just want to introduce you, Justin. I know you're not really that happy about being on camera.
No.
Yeah, so we were talking about figures, weren't we? And what you're hoping for. So what are you hoping for today?
I'll be happy with 160.
160, yeah.
You know, anywhere near that, and I think we're doing all right.
That's it. For a 2.1 Pinto, I think that's
acceptable.
got to be, yeah. We're just talking to the bloke here, weren't we? And he reckons 150.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to go high. I'm going to throw my guess in. I'm going to say 165.
Oh.
I'm going to say for the little green Escort. And we originally met at Harpenden this year, didn't we?
Yeah.
Honestly, guys, Justins Mk2 is such an inspiration for my build. If we look inside, I think the door is unlocked, yeah. Check out this interior. How cool is that? So he's got the original green seats and the green door cards, which I absolutely love. We're having a good chat on the way here, and these are the original door cards, aren't they? That came with the car. But yeah, I was just saying, I love the carpet on the bottom of the door cards. Just everything about the green I love. And it was also showing me the kick panels, they're green, and also the trim pillars just there by the seat belts are green. But yeah, this striking interior just screams 80s, doesn't it? Justin purchased this Mk2 Escort back in 2020. It was originally a 1600, but it had a 2 litre Pinto fitted to it. And that was when he last visited Northampton Motorsport. Now he got it rolling road back then, and it was about 123 brake horsepower or 127. He can't completely remember, but shortly after that, the engine actually gave up, which basically encouraged him to do the full restoration. It's had many body panels replaced, and it's also had a full respray in the original colour. The vinyl roof is new. He's got his front spoiler on there, which I think looks brilliant. Colour coded to the body. Yeah, you can't go wrong with that. I just wanted to pay a bit more attention to the engine again, and just a bit more of the information. So it's actually a 205 block, which is bored to plus 2.25 mil. It's got balanced con rods, ARP bolts, the crank balanced and doubled welds. It's got a light and flywheel, HD bolts. It's got a ported heads, 44.5 mil inlet, and standard exhaust valves, bronze valve guides, double valve spring set to 37 millimeters. The cam that it's running is the HPE Fast Road / Rally spec cam that's in there, and it's on just down here. You can see it, the BezTech electronic ignition system, just down there, as you can see it. It's got a tiny little alternator. I can't pronounce that. How do you reckon you pronounce that? Briz. No, the top one. Briz. Bryce.
Yeah.
It's got. Sorry, I'm terrible at pronunciations. Most of you guys will already know this by now. It's got a Bryce 65A alternator just tucked down there. I think I'll be purchasing one of them for mine, to be honest. It's got a Wasp starter motor, and obviously we mentioned earlier the HPE exhaust manifolds, but that's not where the upgrades stopped with the Escort. It's got a Type 9 gearbox, and it's also got the first year conversion, so it's got a longer first gear, because Justin explained to me when we were on our way up here that when he had the gearbox in it originally, it would just go through first like anything. It's got plenty of other upgrades, including the quick shift gear stick on the way up here wasn't rattling around or anything like that. Now, some of you might be wondering where the fuse box is for the Escort, and it's been neatly reinstalled in the glove box, which I absolutely love. It's them small touches that take the most amount of time and sort of planning. So obviously it's not there anymore on the top of the bulkhead. Now, Justin was just explaining that the loom has been tucked. It's not trailing around the engine bay as it would normally. And something I really like, which I'm probably going to do to my Escort, because as I say, this is just like a huge inspiration for my project. So as you can see, his brake lines come out into this hard pipe, but it stops and then it goes into this flexi line, which I absolutely love. I really do like that. I don't know, it's hard to remake metal brake lines neatly, and I feel like these braided lines are brilliant. They basically just tuck under that brake servo and then they just disappear. You can barely see them. Obviously they do go around the engine, because one needs to come to this near side front wheel. Obviously one goes to the offside front and then to the back, but it's all little touches like that make these builds different and make them original. Now, I'm not going to go too close to his VIN number, but he's actually just saying that he's got the top plates that have been added, and he got someone to press the original VIN number into them, which is the original Ford press, so the angle of it and everything is spot on to how it would be. We were talking earlier, he's done the circle headlight conversion, so changed the bowls at the back, and it's got the circle lights with a circle grille on it now, which I absolutely love. Even though the old square and circle headlight argument could go on forever. And also got the Ford lettering on the grille instead of the badge, which I personally prefer. On Justins Mk2 Escort, he's currently running these JBW RS4 spoke wheels. These are 7J wide. I think he's sitting on the fence a little bit with the tyre sizes, because he was running, so what were you running, 6Js before?
Yeah.
With 175 50s,
Yeah.
and now he's uprated the tyre profile, but the ride, you've said that is
much better.
Much better, yeah. And we came here earlier in the rain, so hence why it's the tiniest bit dirty. But trust me, this is normally gleaming. But the ride here today was, I personally thought it was lovely.
It's lovely on a long journey.
Yeah. So it wasn't harsh at all, and you've certainly noticed a difference with tyre sizes, haven't you? Yeah. The full underside of the Escort has been raptored. You can just see a small glimpse of it in here. It's all been raptored. It's on gas coilovers at the front. It's also on gas shocks at the rear, with the rear setup as well. It's got leaf springs that have had the lowering blocks welded onto them. I'll show you guys a clip of that. But yeah, it's been really neatly done. And he's also got an ATB diff in there.
where it was rubbing backwards and forwards, and that's where it snaps sort of that much in over the bulkhead.
Right.
So when they changed.
I'm surprised you thought it drove so well, because when you pull away, it's grumpy, isn't it?
Well,
It's like
it kind of is, isn't it?
linear and smooth, you know, because it's too lean.
Right.
But as soon as you get a bit of throttle on,
When you're past 2,300,
yeah,
it's a different.
fine,
It's a different thing. You know, like.
you can see under the biggest one, which is nearest the engine,
Yeah.
you can see the brass throttle plate underneath it.
Yeah.
Now, if I open the throttle plate, you'll see it gradually uncovers more of the hole,
Yeah.
and it'll gradually pass the other two holes as well.
Right.
So they're called progression holes. So we don't even sell the 3-hole carbs anymore for that reason.
Yeah.
Even started yet. There we go. Takes a couple of seconds, doesn't it? It's at this point in the video that I need to do some explaining, because Troy, who was operating the rolling road that day, got Justins Mk2 Escort onto the rollers, got it all strapped down and went for the first power run. And the first power run got Justin 166 brake horsepower, which, can I just point out, is only 1 brake horsepower from what I guessed his engine would run. And at that point, we were pretty much jumping around, very happy. Justin was thinking, oh, maybe he can even aim for 170 brake horsepower. Now, it's at this point where Troy took out the jets from Justin's twin 45 Weber carbs, and I believe he changed them for some bigger ones. He also adjusted loads of other little bits and bobs and went for another rolling road run. Now, with this second run, it didn't reach 166. It actually reached less brake horsepower. So this left Troy scratching his head. He didn't know what was going on. And for the next several hours, it just consisted of Troy sort of chasing the car almost. He would adjust something, go for another run, and it just wouldn't increase the brake horsepower. Now, Troy was tweaking quite a lot of bits and bobs. I believe the timing was one of the things he tweaks. He said the fueling was actually really good. He checked the spark plug gaps. He also talked to us about the progression holes on Justin's twin 45 Webers. Now, he's only got 3 progression holes, whereas you can get 4 and 5. And he basically said this would affect the running at low RPM. Basically, what Justin's got on his is the accelerator pedal would have to go down probably about 15-20% before he sees them 3 progression holes, whereas if you had a 4 or 5 progression holes, almost instantly, as soon as you put your foot on the throttle, would open one of them up. And he said this would just help the drivability of the car slightly. Now, the fact that Justin only had 3 progression holes in the twin 45s was nothing major to worry about, really. It was just more advice that Troy gave him. But as the day progressed and the more runs that Troy carried out on Justin's Escort, it just never reached that 166 again. And as I say, Troy was scratching his head, we were all scratching our heads, and they decided to basically call it a day. Troy explains that in past scenarios, when this has happened, it means that there might be something deeper wrong with the engine. Now, he was very neutral with his opinions on the engine. He knew it had just been freshly rebuilt, but he did discuss with us and said that he noticed a slight knock on startup or a slight tap coming from the top end. So he recommended that some of his guys remove the cam cover just to check the clearances and make sure everything's all right up the top of the engine. So with that news, me and Justin buggered off to the local fish and chip shop, got ourselves some lunch, and I believe it was Victor who took off the cam cover. He checked it all out and couldn't find anything wrong with it. And when we got back, we had Victor and Steve looking around Justins Escort. We're all scratching our heads, looking at his cylinder head, thinking, what on earth is wrong with this? So what they did say is just to check the spray bar. Now, I've had loads of advice with my spray bar, that sits at the top of the engine, and this lubricates the top end of the engine with oil. So with the spark plugs off, they cranked it over and there was no oil coming out, and that left everyone a little bit worried. So what they done is they connected the HT leads back up and then tried to fire the engine up. But it took about, I don't know, it's got to have been about 5 to 10 seconds for the oil to actually come out. And when it did, it was sort of spluttering out. It wasn't sort of squirting out at a good pressure. And that left everyone thinking that possibly the oil pump is faulty. Now, I understand that explanation was a little bit drawn out for you guys, but I had to explain all the steps that they were taking that day to discover this issue. Now, Justin has been in contact with HPE, Harris Performance, who built his engine, and they agreed that the oil pump is probably on its way out. We drove back from Northampton Motorsport that evening, sort of a bit anxious, but got it home, and we all sort of agree that the oil pump is on its way out, and Justin's booked it back in with them to have the oil pump done and also a thorough look around the engine in November time. And he said he's going to get the rolling road rebooked for early next year, maybe February, March time. So it'd be good to do a sort of catch-up video with him. And also something else that Justin mentioned, he's also going to swap out his twin 45s from the 3 progression holes to the 4 progression holes, and he's just going to see if that changes any of the running issues that he's been having, because it was running slightly strange as well towards the dyno session. So there's a few more bits to tinker around with before he can get that sort of dialed in properly and back up at the rolling road. Now, I'm completely aware this outro is quite long-winded, but I wanted to say thank you to Troy, Steve and Victor at Northampton Motorsport for being so welcoming. And me being a mechanic myself, I know what it's like when people are over your shoulder asking you questions, but they were so helpful. They were really friendly. They were happy to explain bits and bobs that we didn't know about. And yeah, I just found the whole atmosphere there welcoming, and it's definitely made my mind up for where I'm going to take my Mk2 Escort once I've got it on the road. I think I've covered everything, so this won't be the last time you're seeing Justins Mk2 Escort. We will do a follow-up video, and hopefully both of our Mordor Mk2 Escorts will be on the road next year. That'll be quite exciting. Anyway, if you did enjoy this video, please give it a like, and if you like what you see, subscribe to the channel to see more. Thank you all for watching, and until the next one, I'll see you guys later.